At any point when you were in Evin prison, did you ever feel in danger?
You know, in the first 2 weeks, I guess, or even in the first 20 days, I mean, and it was because I didn't know where am I standing? I didn't know how they treat people. And plus, two of my uncles, they were political activists like 15 years ago, and he was in Evin prison, same prison, for 12 years. And his experience, he was physically tortured, like to some extent that his feet the shape of his feet was changed. You know, they would pull out nails and all scary things. So I had that in mind. I knew like I'm walking where 20 years ago 7,000 people got executed, and so I was scared. And then for the first 2 weeks I had that fear with me. But then, when I start feeling like more comfortable, and I thought, I felt like since if they haven't tortured me, they're not going to torture me. I'm here.
And what were your inner thoughts as you sat in that tiny cell? What were you thinking? What were your day-to-day thoughts that just ran through your head?
Because I had, out of 28 days, 19 days, I had interrogations. So actually, I would like to go and answer questions because, the time passed, fast. But the days that, you're in the cell, I would sing, I would try to, I would measure myself with, my feet, my hands, and try to memorize everything. There was some writing on the wall, some poems. I would try to memorize them, which I forgot all of them. And you think about anything. I mean, I can't remember exactly what I was thinking about when I was in cell alone, but you do everything to just keep your spirit. And
you would sing songs. Can you just give us a little more information on that?
Yeah, because I liked singing, and then I had nothing else to do, so I would just repeating some old Iranian music, and so sometimes I would almost like scream and sing. So the guard once she came and she said, she was nice to me. She said, stop singing. I said, in Farsi, singing and then reading has the same verb. So I say, I can either sing, I only can sing. So if it's book or it's music, you either give me books or I'll keep singing. And then she came back again. I think she warned me like 4 times, and then the 5th time she started screaming at me, and and then she started telling, if you don't stop singing. And I said, what would you do? You put me in solitary confinement? Oh, well, I'm here. There's nothing else you can do to me. So, and then she didn't say anything. She just closed the door and left. And then the other cells, 2 other cells, they had TV under cells. So I could, and then the TV was broadcasting this song, and they all started singing with the song. And from men's cells and women's cells, and then I started singing with them. It was really inspiring, yeah.
And there was no communication?
No communication. I called my family, I think like 3 and 4 times, and it's just, my interrogator was standing next to me, and he would tell me what to say, and then I would just pass it on. And it was just according, like they didn't, because my family, they interviewed with some different kind of medias, and they didn't like it, so they wanted me to tell them not to talk or speak out.
And now, what was the day of your release like?
Actually, it wasn't. I got sad when they told me I can leave, because the last 2 days I spent with 2 other girls. One of them is, I think now, I don't know if you know her or not, Silva Haturnian. She's an Armenian girl. She like anyone else. She hasn't done anything wrong. But so I was with her in the same cell and another court girl. And she was in that cell for, I think, like 4 to 5 months. And she was really, I mean, psychologically, she was so tender, and she's seen so many people come into her cell and leave, and she was still there. So when they told me I can leave, I was kind of like, and then plus I was the only majority person among those two, because I was a Muslim. She was one of them. The other girl was Armenian. The other girl was Sunni court. So I kind of like, and they, I mean, we discussed this, that they treat me better just because I'm part of the majority. And when they told me I can leave, I was kind of, you know, uncomfortable, and we cried, we hugged each other. And then the bad thing is, when I left the cell, it took time to leave the section, 209 section. And so they took me to another cell. And then I heard, when I came out of the cell, she started weeping like loud, and yeah, it was bad. So, I mean, when when I got out of prison, I was all happy, but the moment it wasn't that pleasing. Yeah.
And getting home and seeing your family.
Yeah, I got home, we were all happy, just meeting people, and I was, prison is one thing, and when you come out of the prison, I think it's much harder to, one day I wished, they just arrest me and take me back to the prison, because it seems you're free, but in fact, your whole life is under control, or at least they give you this feeling that we're watching you. So they would call. I had, when I got released, I had like 3 another interrogation with them in some, scary place, and so it never ends. As long as, and then at one point I had, I told myself that I'm not gonna answer their phone calls. I'm not gonna meet them anymore, because as long as you work with them, as long as you answer their phone calls, you see them, they keep, bugging you to. So yeah, it was harder than prison time.